Alright, everybody, it's Gnosis time. Welcome to Retro Time, and it's time for a retro review. And this time, I want to review the last game of this Legacy collection, which is Mega Man ZX Advent. So, this is the end of the whole Legacy collection, and I do want to talk about how I feel about the game in general. And do I suggest playing it? Let's get into the video and just find out, and I'll talk about it with you. Alright, so we are looking at Mega Man ZX Advent. And I will say to start, this is not one of my favorite Mega Man games. But it still got its story across. But it wasn't the greatest story, okay? So, where do I want to start? We can start with story. The story takes place with... I played the side as Gray. Which are, the person you're looking here is... Her name is Ash. She's a... Just, like... basically, you get the choice between guy and girl from the start. This story, there wasn't any tragedy in the beginning, which, like, really, it just kind of wasn't, kind of probably why I didn't like it as much, because you weren't really going to find anything in this game, and that's probably why. I mean, you're going to find stuff, obviously, but like, you didn't have some sort of tragedy that made it more important to you. In ZX, you had some sort of tragedy, and with Mega Man Zero, you have all of them basically connecting to the same game. This game here it didn't actually pick up for me till it started picking up at some point, but it's like even playing through it and having the boss fights and actually seeing what you gotta do, it's just a lot, okay? And they based it more on, I guess I want to say, exploration instead of running through a level. And that's probably why I don't like ZX and ZX Advent too much, because they went away from the 2D side-scrolling into this much more, I have to explore everything and figure out where everything is and have to read a manual instead of actually having the full story play out as you just go through the game. So there's that. The story wasn't as great. It did, and the boss battle at the end was not the hardest boss battle. I actually beat it within 5 tries, and it usually takes me a lot more. So I want to say, if you're looking for a challenging game, this is a challenging Mega Man game. You don't want to play this one. You want to go back and play Mega Man Zero 2. That's probably one of the most challenging games, and the rest of the Mega Man games in the Zero trilogy so far that I know, they're challenging. But this game here, even the main bosses, they weren't challenging at all. And so, mechanics-wise, they have a lot of suits in this game that you switch into. You get, like, I want to say, like, 15 or 14 different suits to transform into different Reploids of some sort. Now, I didn't like this because there was too many, okay? I first want to say, not the first suit, but the suit after it was, like, not a very good suit, okay? I didn't like the transformation. I was expecting to go fight a boss, but I didn't expect to turn into it. And I wasn't a fan of that character in general, and there's a lot of characters you have to utilize in this game that I was like, okay, this is kind of, like, not what I expected. So, game mechanics, along with the suits, they have different powers. They have different weapons. They all have capabilities of their own. You get the standard Mega Man touch to it, though, which is great. You run through, you shoot stuff, and you use your powers to kill the bad guy. But they made it the main character overpowered. And what I want to say is the main character has a specialized move where if you sit there and you hold A down, he launches this, like, attack where he just shoots. He shoots. And you have to aim it directly on the boss. So they just made him a bit too overpowered, and the fighting in the game just was actually genuinely easy compared to most of the games. Alright? So, mechanics-wise, it's not as very good as an old Mega Man game. So if you want to get the pure Mega Man feeling, you go back and you play, like, the Zero series or something. Now, going into other parts of it. The music, nothing stuck out to me in this unless I go back and really listen. during most of this game is all about exploration. And that's what really got me. I sat there and I actually had to figure a lot of stuff out. And what I mean by that is actually look at guides and figure out where stuff is. Like, and that's something I didn't like about ZX either, where they actually make you look for sub tanks and life ups and all that. And it's obnoxious. And in the original Mega Man games, you actually gained them as you go. You didn't have them right away. You had to get the capability and then increase your health that way. And this didn't even have elves in it. You didn't get to utilize elves in the last game either. So they took a new approach to Mega Man ZX games, and they kind of went away from what the series was about. So it just again, like, there's a lot in this game that I am not a fan of. And again, even the music also didn't stick out to me. Boss fights weren't very difficult. It took me 5 times to beat the main boss, the big guy you're fighting. It took me 5 times to beat him after getting used to what he does. So it's just pretty basically like not as challenging as what it should be. And even in the levels, you don't get really challenged. You basically run through, and it's not as hard as what it should have been. And that's probably why I'm a little bit disappointed in it, because the other Mega Man games they're a little bit more challenging. Okay, so that feeling of challenge wasn't there. The feeling of feeling lost definitely will be there, because if you play this, you're going to be lost a lot of the time, unless you have a manual to figure out where everything is. You can't just run through this guessing. So back in the day, I'm sure people that played this on a DS were just lost as hell and couldn't figure out, so I had to go out and buy the guide. Which is, I'm glad I have the internet right now. What else do I want to talk about? So visually, it's still Mega Man 2D side-scrolling graphics, the original art style that all Mega Man games have, which I do like. I do appreciate it, but it's just not the same game. They're drifting away from the original formula. And I don't know what it is, but I just didn't care for this one. So I think I got everything out of the way I want to talk about with this. I know I went back on some things during the discussion, but it's not the same style of game I was looking for. Like, somebody literally said to me, "Prepare for disappointment," and oh boy, I was not as happy as what I thought I was. So I want to go back and give my final thoughts on this and talk about just how I feel in general about this. So let's get back to that screen. Alright, so that Mega Man game is not my favorite one. All in all, that's probably going to be the lowest rating I will give a Mega Man game, unless we get another one and I don't care for it. Alright, so all in all, game was not the best. The series in general, the Mega Man Zero series, is good. Go play those. But do not bother with ZX and ZX Advent, because they have no form of connection really back to the original Mega Man Zero games, unless we see somebody show up from those games. But we're only going to get the suits from the Reploids, and there were too many suits in this game that I'm like, man, you're overdoing it. At one point, I had a boss I had to go fight, and I couldn't figure out where he was. And that's the one thing I did not care for about this game, is how lost you get, and how just unbearably lost you might get in these games. I think they could have did a better job with a lot of things. All in all, I'm giving this game a 6. It's not my favorite Mega Man game out there, but I do love the Mega Man Zero series. So, but yeah, that's about it for me. So if you like this video here and you want to see more reviews from me, please hit that like button and please subscribe to the channel. I know this channel's still small, but it'll grow eventually. And also, hit that notification bell if you do want to see more from me and you are subscribed. And please, guys, keep gaming, gamers. Take it easy.